Hello everybody, my name is Dalton Nelson, and today I'd like to give my thoughts on the game I just beat, that game being Pipe Mania for the Nintendo DS. Pipe Mania is a puzzle game developed by Razorworks and published by Empire Interactive. Sometimes, you don't know what you'll get in a game. You may get the time of your life, or the most disappointing or even agonizing experience possible. For Pipe Mania here, I would say what I got was my second most stressful experience this year, which also doubles as the game I'm conflicted the most about this year thus far. And if you recognize the name Pipe Mania, you may be aware of the Assembly Line's 1989 game of the same name. Yes, Pipe Mania is a puzzle game that goes back decades, and it's been ported, updated, and derived upon multiple times since its debut. If you're into arcade games, it's hard not to know about this game's legacy, or at least know one of its clones in some way. So, with that being said, this Razorworks update from 2008 already has a strong base game to lay itself upon. How I'm judging this game is how well Pipe Mania stands up today, how this version brings its own ideas to the concept, and if it's worth picking up for those who are uninitiated with the Pipe Mania style of game. And as I said when I started this review, I'm very torn on this version of Pipe Mania, but it's got a lot going for it. Maybe too much, in fact. For those unfamiliar, Pipe Mania consists of you laying down pipe pieces on a grid to connect one solid path from a starting point. After a certain amount of time, liquid will start flowing out from the start. In the classic version of Pipe Mania, all you had to do was meet a distance requirement for how many grid squares the fluid should pass through before it spills out of your pipes. This is where the Razorworks version of Pipe Mania starts to differ, as here on the DS version of the game, there is an endpoint that you have to connect to as well. And instead of the level ending when the fluid, called flues in this game, pours out of your pipe, instead a spill meter on the top screen will start to fill. As you can guess, you lose the level if you spill too much flues, so making sure that you can connect your pipe path to the endpoint while also meeting the distance requirement is the key to success here. It's a very tense gameplay premise to start with, especially since the pipe pieces at your disposal come randomly and cannot be rotated. The type of pipe pieces you get are easy to glean. You have your straight pieces, your corner pieces, your overlaying pieces that you can use to loop the flues through a single square. It's all here. There are also returning pieces that add to the gameplay, like the reservoirs, which slow down your flue's flow. You can override the pipe pieces you already laid down, so long as there isn't flues flowing through it already. And the game throws some great, simple curveballs in the way of pre-laid pipes you can't destroy, but can still use, or obstacles that obfuscate some of the grid, forcing you to lay pipe around it in a timely fashion. You also have a handy function where you can speed up the flow of your flues for bonus points by holding a single button down. And if this were Pipe Mania, if all of this game had were start and end points, random pieces, obstacles, fast flues, spillage, it would be fine. But that's not it. Oh boy, is that not it. The biggest fault this version of Pipe Mania has, at least in my opinion, is that it doesn't keep things simple. It insists on adding more and more to the things you have to pay attention to as much as possible. And normally I'd respect that to the moon, like with Pool Panic, but here it's so much that playing this game becomes physically demanding, like actual physical stress and exhaustion. For example, in addition to having a classic mode, arcade mode, and bonus mode, Razorworks' Pipe Mania also has a story mode. In this story mode, you play as kids that are inheriting the pipe-laying business from their uncle. The uncle is to go into retirement soon, but the pipe system on the island these characters live on is ransacked by an evil buffalo cowboy. To combat this, the uncle sends his kids through the 8 worlds of the game to fix everyone's pipes, and to stop the buffalo once and for all. You start this mode on the first world, where you'll learn the basics of Pipe Mania and play what is pretty much the classic setup explained earlier. Things start to take a dive at the final level of this world though, as a new mechanic is introduced where the character ruling over that world starts attacking your pipework, causing flues to leak, and causing you to stop what you're doing and go fix the problem, all while flues is still flowing through your pipes. It's an extreme spike in difficulty right away, and it only gets more demanding from there. That's because with each new world you get to, a new mechanic or gimmick is introduced. Now, I don't dislike all of these world gimmicks. I actually thought some were really interesting, and reminded me of, logical thinking, even something you would do while you're programming. The best puzzles here would even give off some Space Chem vibes. My favorites include the second world, where you get some custom pieces that you can lay down by drawing them, with the bottom screen's haptic feedback. The parsing of your drawings is very faithful, and Pipe Mania even stops its game and gives you a grid to draw on. This mechanic is very well designed. I also like the train world, where instead of the flues being non-stop fluid, it's a train of a finite length, and as it follows the tracks you lay down, you can destroy the tracks it's passed, and lay new tracks for the flues to loop back to. But with those two world gimmicks being fun to deal with, there's also the electricity world, where the flues is electricity that flashes through your circuits in a literal instant, or the internet levels, with some awful slow scrolling fields. And this isn't helped with the other mechanics not being explained very well, or the concept itself being poor at its inception. Also with each world, you get a change in aesthetics, which is neat until you lose track of which tiles are the most important. It can be hard to tell at times where the endpoint is, or what color it is. There are levels where you are timed, like given 2 minutes to get the flues to the endpoint, while also meeting the distance requirement, as well as laying around obstacles with the random pieces, and the flues still needs to be a certain color, and it needs to be a certain length, and hopefully you can now see why I found Pipe Mania so physically stressful at times. It can be too much all at once. Luckily for the most part, even if you're scored, all you really have to do is complete the level under the requirements given, and you are given treasures as a reward for your hard work. And as I said, I really like a good portion of the puzzles equal to the amount I was frustrated by. Though, for a few final notes, I really wish the game told you how much distance you've covered thus far with your pipes. As it stands right now, the game only counts the distance traveled by the flues, but I would rather like it to predict how much distance I've already covered with the pipes I've laid down. There's a white arrow that will tell you where your flues will come out if your pipe isn't finished. I imagine that there's gotta be a list of connected pipe pieces this white arrow is reading from. If the developer could have displayed the count of said list somewhere, that would have been a great quality of life feature. Finally, I should mention the audio quality of the game, which is piss poor. All of the audio sounds like it was blatantly put through a filter that always makes it sound like it's coming out of crappy speakers. But other than that, yeah, very mixed on this. I like the Pipe Mania gameplay, I dig the amount of variation Razorworks put into each world, and I think there's some great ideas being executed here. But with a final score of a low 5 out of 10, I would also like to criticize this game's stressful difficulty, bad audio quality, and lack of quality of life features. In terms of the questions I presented at the beginning of this review, I think Pipe Mania stands up very well today, if not better with some of the scenarios this DS version brings. And in terms of new players looking to give this a chance, I would recommend this to puzzle lovers who are looking for a challenge and are looking for a colorful set of rules and scenarios to play through. As for a more casual audience though, this DS version of Pipe Mania isn't terrible, but its overwhelming layering of mechanics may be enough to cause you to avoid it. That concludes my review of Pipe Mania. If you like my reviews, you can like, comment, or subscribe. I also have my social media links down in the description below, as well as a link to my online portfolio where you can see game design works that I've done. I also have a link to my backlog profile where you can see my scores at a glance. And with that out of the way, please make sure to have a nice day.